Every day we use our planet's resources, from the air we breathe to the water we need to stay alive. So how can we safeguard those resources for tomorrow and live well today? I am Chris Elems in Nigeria, and you're watching EcoAfrica.
And I am Sandra Kahumza Twinobdio, right here in Uganda. We're about to meet a range of people who are very passionate about improving their corner of the world for today and tomorrow. Here is what we have coming up. Beating the drought, helping turtles in Tunisia. From pests to products, the scientists using invasive plants as a substitute for petrochemicals. And reforesting the hills of Scotland to bring back beauty and biodiversity. But we begin here in Uganda, where the authorities are hoping to make safe drinking water available to all by 2030. So far, change has been slow to come. Lack of water is not the problem. Uganda has lots of lakes and rivers, but pollution is a big challenge. The River Rizi in western Uganda is especially bad. Well, we caught up with one campaigner who is dedicated to bring change.
The River Rizi flows through southwest Uganda. More than 5 million people directly depend on it as a source of water and to earn a living. The waterway, once a vibrant artery of life, now bears the scars of human activity. The whole river ecosystem is under threat. The River Rizi faces 3 major challenges. The first is harvesting sand from the riverbed.
You see those who are mining, who are sand mining in the riverbed, they are standing in the middle of the river, meaning that now the water levels have drastically gone down. And if this goes on for another 10 years ahead, there is a likelihood that we might end up not having any more water flowing through. And this will definitely affect quite a number because it feeds the national park and it is also feeding into Victoria.
Apart from sand mining, population pressure is leading to encroachment of the riverbank. The National Environment Management Authority estimates about 60% of the river's catchment area has been degraded. Siltation caused by soil erosion has reduced the riverbank by 40 meters. Mining the soil along the banks to make bricks to keep pace with the area's rapid urbanization is also destroying the river ecosystem. And water pollution, including industrial effluents and waste, are poisoning the river water.
There are times in the year when this point, there's so many dead fish, and chances are that these fish are dying because of industrial activities upstream. And we think something wrong is happening with the fish. Maybe they are feeding on poisoned water.
This continuous discharge of toxins into the river endangers not only aquatic life but also communities that directly depend on the river as a source of water. Globally, over 2 billion people consume contaminated water and risk dire health consequences. The River Rizi's plight is a reminder of the environmental implications of industrial activities. Another big challenge facing the river is plastic waste.
And when I got to that point, I saw plastics. It had rained like in the past 2-3 days, and all these plastics from the city was floating within a given section of the river. And I said, at an individual level, I think I need to do something. I recorded a video, posted it online, and I got so many responses. And from that, I was able to persuade the people who were within Mbarara. We mobilized resources, got some materials, equipment, and came and did the cleanups. And from that, it's a routine activity that we have been doing every time we have the rains.
The plastic waste, including bottles and polythene bags, are increasingly emerging as a hazard to all marine and human life. Uganda generates 600 tons of plastic waste each day, but only 6% is collected. But amidst the challenges are glimmers of hope as individuals, communities and activists rise to the occasion to look for solution. The Waste Watch initiative ensures that all of the plastic collected from the River Ruiz is converted into funds to support the people who live along the river. All of the collected waste is packaged and sold to other companies for recycling.
After compacting these bottles into bales, I supply them to a company called Standard Recycling. It is based in Kampala. They do different products out of them, and one of them are pellets and the rest.
Collecting and recycling plastic is not the only intervention people are undertaking to save the river. This group reuses soya and avocado waste from a refinery. It's a source of income for young men and women here.
This material is hazardous, and if not turned into a productive product, it could end up into the water streams and bodies and swamps. From here, we bring it into our crusher, where we crush it and mix it with natural oils from sunflower, soybean and palm oil, and neutralize it into a usable product.
The River Ruiz ecosystem must be protected, whether through government action against illegals and mining or individuals who restore the riverbank.
In the last 5 years, we have planted over 2,000 trees, but about 500 species in total. And what we are trying to solve is, we are trying to stop that soil and sand from flowing into the river and reducing its width. And we hope that by the time we have planted like 5,000 trees, this whole area will become green, and then the sand will not be coming to the banks, and maybe the river will again widen.
The journey to restore the River Ruiz is challenging, but with the dedication of these environmental warriors, there is hope for a cleaner river in the future.
We head north now to Tunisia, a country that has had 5 years of severe drought. So not surprisingly, fresh water is in short supply.
Many reservoirs have been bled dry. It's a problem both for animals and people that's at risk of perishing in the drought. In some places, thankfully, help is at hand. Here is this week's Doing Your Bit.
This is what's left of a reservoir in Menzil Tamim in northern Tunisia. The lake was once home to hundreds of turtles. Now, for the first time since 1960, it's completely dry. Environmental activist Imad Qasim is assessing the damage. In this small remaining pond, he found some 200 turtles whose lives are in great danger. If we don't relocate them, they'll only live for a few days or weeks. They're amphibious turtles, not land turtles. Without human intervention or heavy rains to fill the dam, they might survive for a day or even a month, but eventually they'll die. But Imad Qasim is a man on a mission. He wants to save the remaining turtle population. And today he's joined forces with several local environmentalists, scouts and officials to relocate the turtles. The reptiles play a crucial role in local ecosystems. Freshwater turtles are an essential link in the food chain and help to regulate invertebrate and algae populations. Their absence can upset this balance, with harmful consequences for the ecosystem as a whole. And this will be their new home, the Lebna Reservoir a few kilometres away. Its water levels are also lower than they used to be, but there's still enough to make it a suitable habitat for the endangered turtles. I want people to understand where we're heading. We're heading for drought and water scarcity. If that day comes for animals, then humans will be affected too, and maybe face even bigger Imed and his helpers are doing their bit to keep their environment livable for the turtles and themselves.
Here in Nigeria, another problem affecting water supply is the water hyacinth. This invasive species has affected over 1 million hectares of our waterways. In today's globalized world, more and more countries are struggling with non-native species. But what if these plants could be turned to good use? We cross to France now to meet a researcher who's found a way to do just that.
It may look and sound like a weed, but Japanese knotweed, Fallopoia japonica, can actually be a useful plant. Harvested by hand to prevent damage, it grows almost everywhere along this tributary of the River Rhône in southern France. Chemist Claude Grison discovered it here. Left unchecked, this invasive species is extremely harmful.
It grows 3 to 4 times faster than the other plants, so it suffocates biodiversity in this area, which has an exceptional array of plants. So it's a real catastrophe from an ecological point of view, but also from an economic point of view, because it chokes this tributary that should be regulating excess water from the Rhône.
One possibility would be to try and clear out the plants. But Claude Grison found a way to put them to good use. She developed a unique process to acquire natural catalysts. These are widely used in drug research and cosmetics production because they're highly efficient at speeding up complex chemical reactions to create new molecules.
The plant has a unique physiology. It can emit molecules that poison its neighbors.
More than 10 years ago, she worked with a group of students researching the unique properties of indigenous species in New Caledonia, a French overseas territory in the Pacific. Claude Grison has long been fascinated by the incredible abilities of plants.
In New Caledonia, I discovered some exceptional plant species that tolerate pollution, so to speak. Better still, they can actually extract metals from their surroundings and store them in their leaves. With these plants, it's possible to regenerate soil that's been completely degraded by the presence of metals.
Here in France, Grison has been focusing on invasive plants. Some species can purify polluted water. Others, like Japanese knotweed, are now being processed in the lab for use in industrial applications. The Compagnie Nationale du Rhône is in charge of managing land along the river and controlling invasive species here. Together with scientists, they harvest the plants across several administrative areas.
We're looking to develop pest control techniques that can be used on a large or small scale and on different plants. The benefit is that we're promoting a type of chemistry that is green and sustainable. It's a kind of circular economy that integrates various species.
Today, the team has only managed to clear a few hundred meters of land. The plants are taken to a warehouse where they're dried for at least 3 days or longer in wet weather. Then they're shredded and sent to the laboratory. Here, the plant material is placed in the oven to dry for a few hours. Only then is it ready for the chemical process in the lab. The resulting organic catalyst is mixed with water and a few natural additives to create a final product that's indispensable in cosmetics, for example. Grison's product is entirely natural. A clean alternative for an industry looking to shift away from harmful petroleum substances in personal care products.
People think of chemistry as a discipline with a terrible environmental impact, which is true. But chemistry also gives us a better understanding of ecology, how a plant or insect functions on a molecular level. And so chemistry can have a positive impact on the environment. I'm interested in reconciling these two disciplines.
Grison's discoveries about plants in New Caledonia and France are so groundbreaking, she received the European Inventor Award in 2022.
The winner is Claude Grison. Claude Grison! Yes!
Claude Grison has already founded 2 companies, proof that her organic catalysts are in high demand.
Amazing discoveries. Staying in Europe, Scotland is a country famous for its stunning landscape, but its hills are largely bereft of trees. In the past, it was rich in forest. If you are a regular EcoAfrica viewer, you will know that deforestation has a devastating impact on biodiversity. So what can be done? In Scotland, members of the public are helping turn back the clock.
Vast and barren, Scotland's southern uplands are a striking sight indeed. The landscape is pretty void of vegetation for now. This group of volunteers wants to change that.
So you all need to grab a planting spear.
Armed with chunky boots and planting spears, 25 volunteers from the Borders Forest Trust are here to regenerate woodland near the English border.
So once you've found where you want to plant your tree, check that you're not right on top of a boulder, so stick your spear in, that's fine. Yep, so that's soft ground underneath. That should give you a hole the right size for the tree. Push it into the hole. Our vision is to make this into a native woodland. A natural woodland that would have been here in the past. So oak, birch, hazel, rowan, holly, all the tree species you'd expect. And the ground is good ground. The trees will do well here.
The volunteers want to help restore the forest that once grew here, thousands of years ago. Millennia of felling for firewood and clearing pastures changed the landscape completely. Today, they want to regenerate habitats and diversify the scenery.
When I plant it, I feel like I get the feeling of being a mother. I need to get a right place for it and then wish it could grow up very strongly and have a happy life.
It's all about climate, really. It's this planting trees is I think it's the best thing ordinary people can do. It's so easy to do, and it's an investment in the future, really.
Thousands of saplings lay the foundation for the new forest. It's hard work.
For so long we've taken things out of the land, out of the hills, and we need to put stuff back and improve the quality of the environment.
That's why not every tree is welcome here. Adrian Hadley, who is up here almost every week, introduces us to an uninvited guest, the spruce.
We don't want these here because they've basically, the seeds have just landed and grown. So these are non-native. They grow really, really quickly, which is why they're used for the commercial forestry.
A retired engineer, Hadley found new purpose in shaping Scotland's future. Regeneration through forestry.
There's a big sense of purpose here. So this land won't be sold to the highest bidder in 20 years' time. It'll stay as it is.
Just a quick detour to the neighbouring valley and it's plain to see. This work pays off. The Forest Trust has planted a staggering 750,000 trees here since the 1990s. Adrian Hadley was part of the effort and watched the valley transform. 20 bird species have settled here, as have many wild plants and herbs, and much to the benefit of the peaty soil too, which binds carbon dioxide, helping protect the environment.
There'll be enough seeds in the soil and in the air to allow the natural process of regeneration to take place, rather than people having to actually physically plant these trees.
A true Garden of Eden in the Scottish lowlands, and a model for the surrounding countryside. Soon enough, Scotland could be back to its ancient splendour.
Back here in Africa, baobab trees can be found in many countries. They are often a focal point for community gatherings, and their fruits, seeds and leaves are a source of healthy food.
But in many areas, they too are being chopped down. Tragically, climate change is also taking its toll on baobabs. So, in Kenya, environmentalists are working to rescue this ancient tree.
A baobab tree can store water for months, allowing it to survive long periods of drought. For centuries, these so-called trees of life have played a key role in village communities along the Kenyan coast. Now, though, they are threatened by climate change and also logging. Last year, 8 baobab trees, all several centuries old, were exported to Georgia for planting in a park built by a former Georgian prime minister. This led to public outcry in Kenya.
How do you come to uproot something that is more than 200, 300 years and take it away? What are you actually saying to us?
Birua Hari Kiraga grew up here on the coast in Kilifi. He can't imagine a life without baobabs. The older trees in particular play an important role for the Mijikenda community. This tree is several hundred years old. It has spiritual significance for local people.
If we have drought, if we have other calamities, we will come and make prayers under a baobab tree as big as this one. It is one very important element. As a faith symbol, it's a place where we communicate with God. And many of the problems that we have been solved under the baobab tree.
Environmental activist Elfik Tossi is on a mission to protect baobab trees. For years, he's been fighting to ensure they survive.
The baobab tree is one tree which other countries call it the tree of life. Because one, the bark of the tree is medicinal. The leaves are useful. The powder is useful. Everything on that tree is useful. And something else, it has lived ages and ages, which means it is very nutritional and it is not like genetically modified.
Elfik Tossi is shocked that they are being exported, but he says the real problem is farmers and investors selling baobab trees along the coast to make room for agriculture and construction. He regularly talks to people about the tree's importance. They store carbon dioxide and provide nutrients for a wide range of species. Insects and bats thrive on their flowers while monkeys eat the fruit, hence the nickname monkey bread tree. Farmer MacDonald Munga was not aware of any of that when he had several of his trees felled.
We regret that we weren't told anything by the government. They don't inform us as baobab owners about all the benefits of the trees, A, B, C, D, so that we can understand better.
Depending on its size, a felled tree can fetch between the equivalent of 500 to 1,100 euros. Good money for a local farmer. But a living tree can earn the farmer far more. Its fruit contains a large range of vitamins and minerals. In powder form, it's in high demand internationally as a superfood. The fruits are also popular in Kenya. Betty Kadzo Kalume is a teacher and sells them on the side. That earns her an equivalent of 69 euros per month, a considerable boost to her teaching salary of 200 euros.
It provides food and also opportunities for earning money. I don't think the little money that we are given for cutting down a tree could in any way compare to the benefits we gain from it.
Elfik Tossi also visits schools in Kilifi to raise awareness about the trees among young people. He tells them about their significance for the local ecosystem and shows how to plant them correctly.
We want to have a community that understands better about the environment, a community that knows that they can be able to make a living from environmental things that they do. And as we are focused in planting 1 million fruit trees in 400 schools in Kilifi County, we want a future that all schools in Kilifi County have fruit orchard.
It's an ambitious plan, which the activist is pursuing with determination. Together with students, he's planted more than 200,000 trees so far.
And all the very best to them with that project. The beautiful baobab is so worth preserving for future generations. That's it from us this week. I am Sandra Kahumza Twinobdio, right here in Kampala, Uganda.
And I am Chris Elems in Lagos, Nigeria. For more stories, check out EcoAfrica online. And if there is anything you want us to share, write to us at eco@dw.com. Thanks for watching and see you all again next time.